All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's staying warm and safe in the Arctic conditions today. Sorry about all the back and forth with classes being canceled, but since we had Monday off and now we have also today off, I wanted to at least record you a little video, continue making some progress in our Unit 5, and give you your homework for Friday as well. There's going to be a little comprehension quiz attached to this just to make sure you are able to watch it and process it. And then, you have your homework for Friday. So your homework here is I want you to review carefully, read carefully pages 203 to 215. These are some of the, early first few topics of Unit 5. And I want you to write textbook exercises 523 and 525. So again, in the textbook, not the workbook. Let's review some of our new material on time expressions. So we introduced this last class, and as you probably recall, we went over days of the week as well as times of the day, and you guys did some homework on that. You guys seem to be doing fairly well with it. Let me just do a quick review of some of that. All right, so let's go to page 206. All right, so here we go. Page 206, days and times. Какой сегодня день? Да? Every chapter, as you guys know, there are kind of key phrases. Often they're questions and answers. So one of the key questions for this chapter is какой сегодня день? Да? What is the day today? Right? Сегодня, today. Right? Какой, which or what, right? And день, day. So which day is it today? Something like that, right? And we went over the days of the week. So we have the 7 days of the week here. And when we answer this question, we can say simply, сегодня, today is, and then name the day, right? So сегодня, let's repeat together. Повторите, пожалуйста. Сегодня понедельник. Сегодня вторник. Сегодня среда. Сегодня четверг. Сегодня пятница. Сегодня суббота. Сегодня воскресенье. As always, the little stress mark above the word, since it's a textbook, it gives you that stress mark. If you were to read a Russian newspaper or a novel, it would probably not list the stress mark. This is there as a little extra crutch to help when you're learning. But as you begin to know these words and know the language, it's assumed you know where the stress is in the word, right? But excuse me. So anyway, always be sure to kind of look for those stresses because if you say the stress on the wrong syllable in Russian, that tends to have a fairly big impact on how it's pronounced, right? So it really stands out as a bit of a mispronunciation. It's not the end of the world, right? But it's something you want to pay attention to. You want to clean up when you're using the wrong stress on a word, right? Good example being sreda. So a lot of people, when they first see this word, they'll pronounce it sreda, but it's not sreda, but sreda, sreda. Да? Sometimes clapping helps. So понедельник, да? Понедельник, понедельник, да? So you can hear there's 4 syllables in that word. Понедельник. And the third one, where the stress mark is the stressed syllable. Remember that every word in Russian only has one stress on it, right? So there's always going to be one syllable. Doesn't matter if the word is 1 syllable long or, I don't know, 15 syllables long in theory. There's just going to be one syllable in that word that gets the stress. Okay, so these are our words, our days of the week. And we have, again, this key phrase, какой сегодня день? If we were to answer that today, what would it be? Сегодня среда. Сегодня среда. Today is Wednesday, right? And we said that there's naming the day of the week in this way, but there's also saying on the day of the week. So if we want to say on what day do you do something, you say в какой день. Какой день? В какой день ты играешь в футбол? Какой день, да? Какой день ты играешь в футбол? Я играю в футбол в, and then the day, right? В субботу. Какой день ты, в какой день у нас есть занятия? On what day do we have classes? У нас есть занятия в понедельник, среду и пятницу, да? And so on. And what you notice is that you have to say v plus the day. The only exception of that being вторник, which you say во вторник. Во вторник я занимаюсь в библиотеке. On Tuesday, I study in the library. The reason there's an O here, not to get too arcane, but that's a fill vowel. Fill vowel. And fill vowels, you've probably noticed here and there, get inserted in certain situations. And this is because there's a consonant cluster at the next word. So instead of it being t, three consonants in a row, which is very hard to pronounce, right? It's вторник. They add the O there to break up the consonants. They add the fill vowel. So just something to kind of keep your eye out for. But yeah, that's the only one that does that. All the other ones are just the plus the day. And as we said, it's in accusative case. So when you have just naming the day, сегодня понедельник, сегодня вторник, сегодня среда, сегодня пятница. That's just the nominative case because you're just naming the day. But when you say on a day, you're saying it with accusative case. Very often time expressions in Russian go into the accusative case. It's just part of Russian language. It's the way it works typically. So, and we mentioned that for many of these days of the week, it doesn't change because accusative case for masculine, neuter don't change, and plural. The only ones that change in accusative case are feminines. So, среду, пятницу, субботу. Да? So instead of среда, пятница, суббота, it's on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, в среду, в пятницу, в субботу. Да? The other ones all stay the same. Okay. So we can say в какой день, we can say в какие дни, on which days, plural. So on which day or on which days? Какой день? Какие дни? Okay. Now we've done a lot with the days, so I think you guys are probably getting pretty good at that. Now, a little bit newer to us is time, time expressions. So what are the key phrases here that we want to practice? We want to say, what time is it? Always a key question in any language. You know, you're at on the street or in a restaurant, you want to ask someone what time it is. Сколько сейчас времени? Huh? What time is it? Сколько? Повторите, пожалуйста. Повторите, пожалуйста, сколько сейчас времени? Да? And the answer to that is сейчас, and then you name the time. Okay, so right now, as I record this, сейчас 4 часа. Да? Сейчас 10 часов. Сейчас, час. This is 1 o'clock. This one is 10 o'clock. 4 o'clock, right? Now, what's tricky here? The only thing that you want to pay attention to here, it's really pretty straightforward, but the one thing to really work on is that this word час literally means hour. Час means hour, right? So if it's 1, it's час. If it's 2, 3, or 4, it's часа. 5 and up, so up to, I don't know, 20, I guess, because they do use military time in Russian. Часов. So you can say, for example, what time is it? Сколько сейчас времени? Сейчас 20 часов. Now, that's a little, maybe sounds a little funny to us in English because we don't really use, unless you're in the military, right? We don't tend to use military time. We would normally say that it's 8 o'clock, right? But in military time, it's 20, the 20th hour, right? So 8 p.m. So this is either not 0200, 2000, or it's 8 p.m. You can use it, you can express it this way, or you can say сейчас 8 часов, and based on context, people would understand you mean 8 p.m. at night. And we can even get more refined if we want. We can say, now I don't want to overload you. I don't expect you to know this right now, but if you want to specify like it's 8 p.m. instead of a.m., you can say сейчас 8 часов. Jesse was asking me about this in a message, but сейчас 8 часов вечера, or сейчас 8 часов утра. So it is 8 o'clock at night. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So there are these expressions with утра, дня, вечера, ночи. If you want to give an hour and then say, at night or in the morning or in the day, you can do that as well. But for now, just keep it simple, probably. Use these hour expressions. We'll get into, in the future into minutes. We'll get into 5 till, it's 15 after, like these sorts of expressions, maybe a little bit down the road. But, for now, you're also welcome to play around with this, but you can say minuta, minuty. So сейчас 3 часа 50 минут. Right now it's 3:50. Okay. So the word minuta, minuti, so on. But I don't expect you to know minutes right now. I just wanted to give you that just so you're aware. Okay, so so again, сколько сейчас времени? Сейчас 4 часа. Да? And just like with days of the week, we can say what time is it in general, just naming the time, or we can say at this time I do something. And so we're going to use v with that, right? So во сколько, at what time do you do something? Во сколько у нас есть занятия по русскому языку? At what time do we have Russian language classes? У нас есть занятия в 11 часов. Right? We have classes at 11 a.m. Во сколько ты обычно встаешь? What time do you normally get up? Я обычно встаю в 7 часов утра. You don't have to say the утра part. 7 часов, да? Во сколько ты обедаешь? Я обедаю в час. Час. Remember, again, if we look at the times, we can say в 2 часа, 3 часа, 5 часов, and so on. But if we say 1 p.m. or 1 o'clock, we don't say, typically you don't say в один час. You don't have, the один just drops out. You just say час, 1 p.m., 1 o'clock. I eat at 1 o'clock. Okay. Во сколько твоя мама идет на работу? Моя мама идет на работу в 9 часов. My mom goes to work at 9 o'clock. Yeah? And so on. Very good. So these are kind of one of our biggest vocab topics for the chapter, and we really want to learn these, memorize them well, and be able to, use them pretty readily, right? It also can be used for duration. So as the example here, when час means hour, not o'clock. So we worked 5 hours. Мы работали 5 часов. So you can just say the number of hours you did something. We worked 5 hours. Мы работали 5 часов. Yeah? So that's another way we can use time. All right. All right. So if we want to review quickly, what are some of our key phrases? We have one more time. Read through these. You can go ahead and hit pause here. All right. So we have сколько сейчас времени? Сейчас 2 часа. Сейчас 5 часов. Да? Во сколько ты играешь в футбол? Я играю в футбол 2 часа. Да? Now, these are alternatives. Well, a couple of them. I guess really just this one that wasn't in the book, but you can also say it this way. It's a little simpler, maybe. You can just use the word when. So not at what hour or what time, but just when in general. So you can say когда, when. Да? Ты, когда ты работаешь? When do you work? Когда ты принимаешь душ? Да? Я принимаю душ в 8 часов. Да? Какой день сегодня? What's the day today? В какой день? Да? В какой день? It ends up being kind of like an F sound here because the V is pronounced together with the какой, so it gets devoiced and it becomes more of an F. So it's slurred together with the next word. So not в какой день ты, but какой день ты идешь на занятия? Я иду на занятия в понедельник. Я иду на занятия в понедельник. Да? Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at exercise. Let's see which one we want to do here. Let's do 521 actually. So supply questions for these answers. For example, сегодня пятница. Today is Friday. So we need to come up with what's the right question for that. What's that answering, right? And the best question would be какой сегодня день? Да? If we're given the sentence, у меня семинар в понедельник. I have a seminar on Monday. What is the question? What question is that answering? Какой день у тебя семинар? On which day do you have a seminar, right? Okay, one more example. У меня русская история во вторник и в четверг. I have Russian history on Tuesday and Thursday. So what would be the question for that? On which days, plural, do you have Russian history? Какие дни у тебя русская история? Да? Okay. So go ahead and hit pause here. Give this a try. with this exercise, see if you're able to kind of come up with the question words for each of these sentences, or the questions for each of these sentences. All right, now that you've done that, let's take a look. I'll just do the few of these here. So how about number one? Сегодня понедельник. Какой сегодня день? Да? What's the day today? Today is Monday. Сегодня понедельник. Да? 3. Сегодня вторник. Again, same thing. Какой сегодня день? Сегодня вторник. Да? У меня семинар в четверг. В какой день у тебя семинар? Number 5. Let's write this one out. Какой день у тебя семинар? Да? And of course, they give us the answer. У меня семинар в четверг. I have a seminar on Thursday, right? Номер 7. У меня политология в понедельник, во вторник, в среду и в четверг. Какие дни у тебя политология? Да? On which days do you have political science? I have it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right. Number 9. Я читаю журналы в субботу. Какой день ты читаешь журналы? On which day do you read magazines? Or if you're always welcome to throw in alternatives. So you can say когда ты читаешь журналы? When? So on which? So these are just all, both valid options, right? On which day do you read magazines? Or when do you read magazines? Right? You can say it either way. But we want to know both. We want to be able to use both, right? Okay. So that's pretty much it with days of the week and time expressions. Yeah, very similarly, we could do 522. Maybe let's do a couple of these really quickly. Now it's the same thing here in 522, except we're doing it with time, right? So supply the questions for these answers. Go ahead and hit pause. Give this a try, and we will see what you came up with. All right. So now that you've done that, сейчас 5 часов. Сколько сейчас времени? What time is it? Answer is, right now it's 5 o'clock, right? 3. I'm doing the odds just to save time. So, у меня американская история в 9 часов. I have American history at 9 p.m. So the question then is, at what time do you have American history, right? Во сколько, at what time? Во сколько у тебя американская история? Да? Right now it's 4 o'clock. Сколько, so this is another easy one. Сколько сейчас времени? What time is it? It's 4 o'clock, right? And the last one, I have math at 10 o'clock. Во сколько у тебя математика? Or, again, you can say когда у тебя математика. That's a bit more general, so that could ask, you could give here a day, you could give a time, so it's maybe a little less specific, but that's fine. I think either of these answers would be, or either of these questions would be valid. All right. Good. So I think we're covering time expressions pretty well here. Let's get into a next topic that we're going to be spending time on Friday primarily. This is section 3 on page 207. Okay, so obviously at the beginning of the chapter, on days 1 and 2, we spent a lot of time learning and practicing these new activity verbs. So all these different things that we do. For example, утром я встаю, я принимаю душ, и завтракаю. Да? Днем я иду на занятия, обедаю и иду домой. Да? Вечером я занимаюсь в библиотеке, я смотрю телевизор и ложусь спать. So these are some extra activities, some new verbs that we've been working on, right? Встаю, принимаю душ, завтракаю, иду на занятия, обедаю, иду домой, занимаюсь, смотрю телевизор, ложусь спать. Да? Now, as we said, we're not only going to say the ya form, the I form. We need to very quickly adapt this to be able to use these verbs in all the forms, all the, he, she, they, we, so on, what are basically the 6 forms of any verb, right? So we need to start, we learned verb conjugation last semester, and we want to continue to kind of refresh our memory on those conjugation patterns and start to get good at conjugating verbs, right? So the book here presents these to us in based on the 2 conjugations. So just to give you a quick refresher on that, there are 2 verb conjugations, or I'll just call it 2 verb conjugation patterns in Russian. Only 2. There's only 2. There's not going to be any other curveballs or things we throw at you later. There's only these 2 patterns, and usually we call them the ye conjugation and the e conjugation. And sometimes they're also called first conjugation and second conjugation. So you may come across that name as well. And the reason the first one's called the ye conjugation is because most of the forms end in ye. So like, я читаю, ты читаешь. There's the ye. Она читает. Ye. Мы читаем. Вы читаете. Они читают. Okay, so it's not all 6 forms that have the ye ending, but 4 of the 6 do, right? And same with e conjugation verbs, you're going to have e endings. So я говорю, ты говоришь, он говорит. So you'll notice here these endings are very similar to the first conjugation pattern, except instead of ye, you have e, right? Мы говорим, вы говорите, они говорят. Okay. There are slight, in addition to the ye versus the e, there are also other key differences between these 2 patterns, especially the they forms are different. So in the e conjugation, the they forms are at, yat. This one's yat, говорят. And in the ye conjugation, it's ut, yut for the they form. Yeah, so that's just another thing to watch out for. All right, so we have these 2 patterns, and that pattern, the great thing about learning to conjugate verbs is you pretty much can just apply it universally, right? You don't need to learn every single verb specifically and each of its endings. That pattern should hold across, so if it's a first conjugation, a ye conjugation verb, you just add those 6 endings, right? If it's an e conjugation verb, you just add those 6 endings. It should work, right? There's some slight variation in there based on spelling of the word and stuff, but for the most part, those six endings are going to be pretty standard. Let's take a look at some of these new verbs in that context. So we have this verb to do, делать, right? This was not one of the activity verbs at the very beginning of the chapter, but it's kind of like a question word, right? So it's like, what do you do? Что ты делаешь утром? Да? What do you do? Делать. Что ты делаешь утром? What do you do in the morning? Утром я встаю, принимаю душ и завтракаю. Right? Notice that I don't reuse the word делать in my answer. That's a common beginner mistake, right? Утром, you wouldn't say утром я делаю, встаю, принимаю душ, and so on. Because then you're saying, in the morning, I get up, I take a shower, right? You don't need to say the do part in the answer. What do you do is the question, right? And then you replace that with whatever verbs you do. But yeah, we have this verb to do, делать. So go ahead and let's repeat these. Я делаю, ты делаешь, мы делаем, он делает, вы делаете, они делают. And it's always worth looking at the past tense. He did, she did, and they did. So он делал, она делала, они делали. For example, что ты делал вчера? What did you do yesterday? And there I'm addressing a male, right? Or что ты... Oh, I forgot ты. Что ты делал вчера? Что ты делала вчера? Да? There I'm addressing a female. So remember with past tense, we just use el, la, li. Based on the infinitive of the verb, we drop the T soft sign and we add el, la, li. Yeah? Okay. A little bit more on this. I don't want to go on too long today, but just want to make sure I cover this. So these are our new activity verbs, or a lot of them. And these first group that they give us are all yeah conjugation, first conjugation. So they all have the exact same endings, exact same pattern, right? Я завтракаю, ты завтракаешь, он завтракает, and so on. Past tense, он завтракал, она завтракала, мы завтракали. Okay. Go ahead and push pause here and read through the other three verbs just to practice them and get a feel for their conjugations. Okay, now that you've done that, я обедаю, ты обедаешь, он обедает, мы обедаем, so on. I eat lunch, you eat lunch. Я eat supper, eat dinner. Я ужинаю, ты ужинаешь, он ужинает, мы ужинаем, вы ужинаете, они ужинают. Да? Take a shower. Я принимаю, and then we would add the word душ here, which means shower. Я принимаю душ, ты принимаешь душ, он принимает душ, мы принимаем душ, вы принимаете, они принимают душ. Okay. This is a little bit about verb stress. Always good to read and pay attention to these things. By the way, so завтракаю, обедаю, and ужинаю come from these three words. I mentioned this in class, I think. Завтрак, обед, and ужин. So these are the nouns, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? And then these are the verb forms, to eat breakfast, to eat lunch, and to eat dinner. Okay. All right, some more. These are also just first conjugation, exact same pattern, very straightforward. To play, to listen, and to clean up. Like clean up your room, clean up your house, убирать, да? Я играю, ты играешь, он играет, мы играем, да? Я слушаю, ты слушаешь, он слушает, мы слушаем. Я убираю, ты убираешь, он убирает, мы убираем. So on. Okay? Even more. To rest or relax, отдыхаю, отдыхаешь, отдыхает. So again, all the same pattern. Опаздывать. Я опаздываю, ты опаздываешь, он опаздывает, мы опаздываем. to be late. Okay. This verb, these verbs are a little bit irregular, so they single them out separately. The ye goes to yo in these verbs, and they're a little bit trickier of conjugation. So there are some irregular ones, but still they follow the general pattern, right? Yeah, so I go, я иду, ты идешь, он идет, мы идем, вы идете, они идут. To get up, я встаю, ты встаешь, он встает, мы встаем, вы встаете, они встают. Okay. All right. Now there's a couple in the second conjugation. Just quickly take a look at these, and then we'll be done. The verb смотреть, to watch, like watch TV. Я смотрю, ты смотришь, мы смотрим, он смотрит, вы смотрите, они смотрят. Смотрят. Он смотрел, она смотрела, они смотрели. So that appears to be the only E conjugation verb from the list currently, right? So you'll probably notice there's a lot more ye conjugation, a lot more first conjugation verbs than there are E conjugation verbs, at least at this stage of our learning. But there's a fair amount of both. So we definitely need to know both patterns and get used to them. And from our new activities, there's also a couple of reflexive verbs. We talked about this previous class. You know, this ya that comes on the end of reflexive verbs and how it changes. So ya adivayus, it still follows. This one is ye conjugation and this one's e conjugation. It still follows, you know, if you took off the sya, you would see it's still all the same pattern. Adivayus, adivayeshsa, adivayetsa, adivayemsa. It's still the basic pattern, but then you have to add the reflexive ending on it. Okay. So I dress myself, I get dressed, or I lie myself down. I lie down to sleep. Я ложусь спать, ты ложишься, он ложится, мы ложимся спать, они ложатся спать. Okay. So make sure to read things like this, this little note about reflexive verbs. All right. So definitely give this a try, filling in the blanks. Actually, I think this is your homework, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to do 523, 525. So you're going to be filling in verb conjugations. And the key thing is not only to choose the right word, right, based on the context. So if we do the first one together, понедельник обычный день, Monday is an ordinary day. Volodya normally gets up at 7 a.m. So we know we want to use вставать here, but we also then need to conjugate it to match Volodya. So it would be Volodya обычно встает 7 часов, right? So you're filling in встает there. It's the he form. You can use the charts for now, but as you go, you do it more and more. You want to start to know the form, right? You want to start to memorize the form. So that's what you'll be doing for homework. Very quickly, let's take a look at these. Maybe hit pause, see if you can fill these in, and then we'll see how you did. And then we'll be done. Okay, now that you've done that, number one, какой день ты football? Well, we know we probably need to say играть football here. So, какой день ты играешь football? Да? So that's the T form. In the morning, we listen to classical music. Утром мы слушаем классическую музыку. Да? 3. I don't like to clean my room. This one's tricky. Think about this one for a second. I don't like to clean my room. Now, what happens there? This is not conjugated. It's the infinitive form, to clean my room. Why? Because before it, we're saying you're already conjugating to like or to love. Я не люблю. So you would never have, just like in English, you would never say, I don't like I clean my room. I don't like I clean my room. You wouldn't do that. You would say, I don't like to clean my room. And that to clean my room is the infinitive form, right? And that's what this is. Я не люблю убирать комнату. What time do you normally get up? Во сколько ты обычно встаешь? Во сколько ты обычно встаешь? Okay, there we go. All right, guys. I think I've held you longer than I anticipated, but I just wanted to give you that little bit there. Please reach out with any questions and be sure to do your homework for Friday.